Hello everyone, this is Shannon for Waffle Flower Crafts. In today's video, we are going to play with Waffle Flower's new water media mat and try an ink transferring technique I'm calling ink swiping. I'm going to start with the mat down on my work surface. I have a couple pieces of 110-pound white cardstock. This A2 panel, however, was die cut with the largest die from the A2 Nesting Rectangles 1 die set. But this scrap paper here, I'm just going to show you what happens when you take your ink pad and ink swipe directly onto cardstock. As you can see, it's kind of scratchy, almost chalk-like looking. Now we're going to try ink swiping onto the mat. So I'm just going to go at an angle here up to the upper left corner. Then I'm going to take my A2 panel, flip it over so the right side is now facing the mat, and then press all over, and that's going to transfer that ink onto the cardstock. I'm going to do one step further here and grab my pencil and just make little marks on the back of my A2 panel here of the direction of that ink swipe. This is just going to help me do some design things later, so I better understand the direction of my ink swipes because I can't see the front of the cardstock when it's facing down. Now flip it over, and as you can see, it's a really soft, pretty look. I'll grab the one where I ink swipe directly on paper. Quite a big difference between the two, and the fun thing about this technique is you can layer up your inks. Now I'm going to quickly wipe off the mat. As you can see, the ink comes right off. I will dry a little bit with my hand here. That's really important. You want to make sure your mat is dry before you try this technique. And now I'm going to ink swipe down to the lower left corner. This is going to create a different direction for my ink swipe. It's going to make a kind of cool chevron look. So I'm going to angle it here a little bit, and then I will press it down. And then once I've kind of pressed all over to make sure that ink has transferred to the paper, I will grab my pencil once again and just make little marks on the back side of my cardstock. This way I can again make sure I have a good understanding where each one of my swipes are. And you can use a ruler if you'd like. As I progress through this video, I get kind of looser and looser with the swiping, because all I need for my personal use is just a little marks, just so I know where the ink swipe entered and exited the panel. Now moving on to a new color. This is Angel Pink, and again I'm going to start at the top, go up to that upper left corner, and then I'll press all over. Once I finish pressing, I again will grab my pencil here, make a little mark. I just marked the top line of that pink swipe, and I didn't even connect the little notches this time. Now I'm doing my lower swipe here. So again, going to that lower corner, pressing after I've made my pink swipe, and then again with my pencil line, this time I kind of sketch the line out. So as I said earlier, I do kind of get kind of looser and looser with my little points of register for myself. So here's my last color. This is Sky Blue, and I'm just going to do the top of this with the light blue right up there. And again, I'm always overlapping a little bit of my previously swiped ink color, because this kind of creates a new color. So I'll overlap this blue here a little bit with the pink that I made earlier, and it kind of makes like a really soft kind of purple or lavender color. And I really like layering my dye inks. I think that's what's really awesome about dye inks. And as you can see here, we got a really soft, pretty background, I think perfect for the Tumble On girls. So now I'm going to create a little bit more bolder background. I'm going to use rainbow colors, and I am using Distress inks this time. You can definitely use other dye inks besides Mementos or Distress inks, but just a warning, some inks will stain, so you may want to test on the back of your mat if that's a concern for you before you place it on the front of your mat. So I started with Squeezed Lemon. Now I'm moving on to Carved Pumpkin here, and again I'm layering just a little bit these inks just so they create kind of a new color. I love that overlapping look. Now I'm moving on to my pink color. This is Picked Raspberry, overlapping with that orange a little bit. I love the color of the pink and the orange when they overlap, kind of makes a really kind of corally red. And I thought that after I did that pink, the orange and wasn't quite dark enough, so I actually swiped it again and then pressed my cardstock right back into that ink. And you can see I've made that orange a little bit bolder, so you can definitely do this a couple times, 3 or 4, as many times as you think you need. And I did the yellow again as well, just to make it a little brighter and bolder. Now moving on to my green, this is Mowed Lawn, again overlapping a slightly bit with that yellow, making my marks after I kind of line up my cardstock, just so I know where the edge of that green is, so when I want to overlap the blue it's a little bit easier. So this is Mermaid Lagoon, my last color. And for this panel, since I wasn't doing any chevron, I just kept it all up to the upper left corner. So they're all going the same direction this time. This one's a little bit easier, just more ink colors. And that will complete my rainbow panel. So now I'm going to move on to stamping my sentiment. This sentiment is from the Tumble On Stamp Set. It says Tumble, Flip, and Celebrate. I just inked it up with VersaFine Onyx black ink and stamped it into the lower right corner of my panel. Now I'm going to stamp some of the images from the Tumble On Stamp Set. I have 3 little Tumble On girls here. I've inked them up in VersaFine Onyx black ink and stamped them onto Bristol paper because I'm going to do some watercoloring here with my Tombow dual brush pens. I just spritzed some water down onto the water media mat, and I'm going to start by going direct to paper with a skin tone color marker, and then I grab my brush and kind of blend it out with a very barely damp paintbrush. You can see there I use very little water, just a little tiny amount of water that's on the surface of the mat. I moved on to a pink for the leotard and a really light blue to add a shadow on the tights. And now I'm going to do her hair with a brown, just start at the scalp line there and then blend out that brown color. I love coloring with my Tombow dual brush pens. It really makes this go really fast and quick, and I can also kind of scribble on the mat and pick up color that way too. So I finished up that girl. I'm going to color the other 2 girls the exact same way. So I went ahead and colored the rest of the girls off camera, and now I'm going to glue our panel down onto an A2 top folding card base made from 110-pound white cardstock. I like to use liquid glue for this. It just gives me that little bit of wiggle room so I can make sure I get that panel perfectly straight onto that card base. I also went ahead and die cut the girls as well as some white craft foam out with the matching dies. This craft foam is going to give these Tumble On girls a little bit of dimension. I'm going to use the liquid glue again, add a little bit of glue to each one of the fronts of the craft foam, and then grab the matching colored image and just layer it on top. I just love the dimension, and they look so clean and professional with that die cut craft foam. Now I'm going to add them to the card just by adding a little bit of liquid glue again to the back side of each one of these girls, kind of placing them along that chevron design that we created. Once my girls are in place, I'm going to embellish with these gorgeous enamel dots by Waffle Flower. This is the Stardust pack. I'm using these kind of clear white ones with glitter inside. They're really pretty, just the nice little sparkle to add to this card. Now hold up to the camera so you guys can get a good look at all the details. I love this ink swiping technique. I think there are so many different ways that you could use this. We did the rainbow one as well, but I think there are lots of different kind of layering that you could do, possibly a plaid that would be really cool. I think there's so many possibilities with this really fun technique. I hope you guys enjoyed today's cards and video. If you want any more information on the products I use, please visit Waffle Flower, and you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for more creative ideas. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.